Hello everybody, this is Dumpster Cat. Welcome back to another Pioneer video. For this one, I've been back in my Brewer's Dungeon trying to figure out some pretty interesting BGX mid-range adaptations, at least in Pioneer. And I've always been fascinated by the Lucky Clover / Adventure build that was popular when Throne of Eldraine was in Standard. I've always been a very, very big fan of Lucky Clover, and I've thought that this is a very underrated card in Pioneer and is kind of underexplored. There have been some teamer versions of Adventure utilizing Lucky Clover to a pretty good extent very early on in Pioneer's format. However, Black and Green have never gotten any sort of love when it comes to this type of archetype, and so I wanted to give my take on it, as I think it's kind of powerful. I think it gets to utilize some pretty interesting cards that we typically do not get to use elsewhere in mid-range, at least in the black and green colors. And so yeah, just wanted to present it to you guys, kind of see your thoughts on it, and see if you agree with me in thinking that it's could be powerful, and at the very least it's promising. So the main engine of the deck revolves around Lucky Clover being able to copy all of our instant and sorcery adventure spells. We currently have, 16 adventures in the deck, so plenty enough. Not playing the fourth one just because Lucky Clover is not the best in multiple, so just sticking with 3. And the alternative engine is revolving around Edgewall Innkeeper, a efficient creature, not the best body, of course, just a 1-mana 1/1, but efficient in the sense of that it provides card advantage for us whenever we cast the flip half of our adventure spells in the form of creatures. So as you can see, we are playing, at least just at the forefront, Lovestruck Beast. We see this played in Gruul vehicles. Very, very powerful beater. Obviously works well alongside and just wants to work well alongside other 1/1s. As we see, we do have the aforementioned Innkeepers and the 1/1 Filemire Knights as well. Filemire Knight works very, very well alongside Innkeeper. I typically go, if I have like Filemire Knight plus Edgewall Innkeeper in hand, I'll go just wait on turn 1, then turn 2, I'll go Innkeeper into Filemire Knight, and then you get a nice start of your card advantage engine, and then you also get a nice blocker, as Filemire Knight is surprisingly a good creature just in the meta right now, where it is dominated by attacking and blocking. Just having a Death Touch creature is very, very impactful. Now, some other interesting creatures that we get to take advantage of, at least in the black and green colors and under the adventure archetype, are going to be Beanstalk Giant or Fertile Footsteps and Murderous Rider or Swift End. So with Swift End, obviously plays well alongside the other pushes and decays that we have as removal spells in the deck, and Invoke Despair to a lesser extent. Murderous Rider is just a very nice 2-for-1. I mean, obviously all the adventure cards that we have access to are going to be 2-for-1s just inherently. However, Swift End being able to be copied by Lucky Clover is just even more advantage for us. It does not work very well if your opponent has 1 creature and you have Lucky Clover plus Swift End, as you will not be able to get the creature half, as the copied version will resolve first, and the actual copy, the actual first copy of this card that you cast, Swift End, will not resolve, and it'll fizzle, and you will not get the creature, unfortunately. Despite that, however, it's still very powerful, and we want to be playing 4 in the deck, just like our other adventures. Fertile Footsteps is another really interesting one that we get to take advantage of. As you can see, we're playing 25 lands, so we are kind of like a pseudo ramp deck in the sense of that we want to be leveraging Fertile Footsteps into Beanstalk Giant and into other very, very powerful cards. As you can see here, we are playing the full 4 Invoke Despair. I think that this is kind of like one of the unique upsides to playing this Clover / adventure archetype or adaptation of BGX that typical mid-range just doesn't have access to. As I said, we're kind of like a pseudo ramp deck, and we get to leverage really, really powerful cards like Invoke Despair. I think that Invoke Despair is quite powerful against the big decks in the format, such as Rakdos and Mono Green, just being able to hit multiple cards of theirs, Fable the Mirror Breaker, any sort of Planeswalkers like Karn or Kiora, and just being able to get card advantage off of that instead if your opponent doesn't have those creatures, or planeswalkers or enchantments is very, very powerful. In some cases, this just is a straight up win condition. If your opponent doesn't have a board and you're able to deal them 6, you draw 3. Oftentimes, you just draw into another Invoke Despair. So you just really, really have the game guaranteed if you're able to chain these cards. And even if you're not, it's still very powerful. X for 1 potential is just really insane off this card, and the quad black isn't too much of a concern as we're just able to leverage the 25 lands, the Beanstalk Giants, the mana should be fine. Going off of the ramp theme, we are playing 2 Casualties of War in the sideboard. When I first started brewing around with this deck, I actually was playing 4 Invoke, 4 Casualties in the main deck, alongside Beanstalk Giant plus Lucky Clover. Turned out that was way too clunky, and I just wanted to keep with the 4 Invokes. However, I do like keeping at least 2 Casualties in the sideboard. Just some added benefits against Rakdos and Mono Green, obviously. Has some other pretty interesting applications against decks like Enigmatic Incarnation or any sort of like 5-color deck that wants to be leveraging multiple spells that come in different types, of course. And just like Invoke Despair, just X for 1 potential is really all we want to be doing in the BGX colors. Other than that, though, the main game plan is just to tempo your opponent out with the efficient creatures we have access to. The main downside to this deck is we don't have a big clock as compared to other BGX mid-range decks or just mid-range decks in general. That's why I kind of opted to go a bit more, rely a bit more on the late game and leveraging cards like Invoke Despair and Fertile Footsteps and Beanstalk Giant, as typically if we're able to get there, especially if we have established a Lucky Clover or have gotten some value off of Edgewall Innkeeper, we're typically able to win in the late game, especially if it's like post sideboard against Rakdos or Mono Green, and we have Casualties of War as well. We even have like access to Order of Midnight, which is really, really insane against any sort of other mid-range deck or any deck that wants to leverage some sort of value with their removal spells. Order of Midnight alongside Lucky Clover is also very powerful. If you have like even Murderous Riders or Love Struck Beasts in your graveyard that you want to be getting back, this card just has a lot of inherent value that I really like. Almost want to be playing it in the main deck, but I think just in the sideboard right now is fine. As you can see also in the sideboard, we are leveraging the Thought Seizes, the Go Blanks, and the Damping Spheres, plus some like 1 extra random cards for interesting matchups. The Thought Seizes and Damping Spheres are for any sort of combo or control deck. Obviously not control with the Damping Spheres, but this deck struggles a lot against combo decks like Lotus Field, or I've been seeing a lot of just Ascendancy as well. And so Damping Sphere is very crucial in those matchups, and you just really want to be drawing it alongside the Thought Seizes. And we just know that Go Blank is just a really powerful card as well. You could play like a Licensed Hearse if you see Phoenix more often, but I think Go Blank is just at least my preferred like 2 for 1 potential against your opponent, and then graveyard interaction card for at least me. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you kind of got some inspiration for some maybe brews of your own. I think this Lucky Clover adventure build is really, really interesting and very underexplored in the format right now. And so I wanted to provide it for you guys, get your own insights if you have any of them, and just to, brew around. I feel like there's not enough brewing happening in Pioneer at the moment, and so I wanted to get my own thoughts down, at least just in the black and green colors right now. And I do have a lot more brews going. If you've seen the amount of decks I've been brewing up with just in the black and green colors is pretty insane. So definitely get a lot more videos and a lot more content for you guys if you're interested. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Subscribe, and I do have a Patreon now, so look at that if you're interested. And yeah, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.